This is a Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning the halachas of the additions to Shemona Esrei. We're middle of Siman Yud Tes, and we pick it up with Sif Yud Dalid. Sif Yud Dalid begins B'Yoyim HaTainis. We now move on to the halachas of Tainis. B'Yoyim HaTainis, Bein Tainis Hebrew, Bein Tainis Yachid, whether it's a private or communal fast. Oimrim B'Tfilas Mincha, Bircha Shema Kolinu. When someone reaches to the words Yesayim Kiata Shemea with the bracha of Shemea Tefillah. And the note 54 on the bottom over here points out that when this is in contrast, of course, to Aneinu, which ends off with the own ending of its bracha, which is Ha'ina. Where did that just go? 1 second, I apologize. Which is no 54 here, which is conscious to Aneinu, which is Ha'ina Be'is Sarah. Continues the Kitzur V'imshachach M'leimer Aneinu Im Loi Niskar. Again, one more time. On a tiny Sibur, you say Aneinu in Shema Kalenu. You finish Kiata Shemea Tefillah. I said that wrong. I read no 54 wrong. Let's read no 54 correctly. No 54 makes a mention that this is in contrast to the Shliach Sibor. There it is. The Shliach Sibor recites Aneinu as a separate bracha and ends Oina Beisar. And lo niskar. Now, you forgot to say Aneinu and you only remembered Allah Chazaras Hashatz. Mibercha Shema Tefillah. Einoi Chayzer Va'imar. You do not go back. Ella. When you finish the Shemona Esrei, after Lakai Nitzar, Koidem Sha'akir Esragl, before you take your 3 steps back, Aimru Ad V'Chleisar V'Suka, and then U'Mesaymi the Ratzayin V'Mloi Niskar La'achash HaGaraglav Einoi Aimrim Oid Klal. You do not repeat Shemona Esrei because of Aneinu. And from here we move on to Siman Chaf, which is the halachas of Chazaras Hashatz. And in the Hakdam over here points out that the purpose of Chazaras Hashatz and its very creation was someone who's not able to daven. As well, we recite Kedushah. Now, it says further, that's very important, that even someone who says Shemona Esrei, you have to listen with the intent to be Yotzei, and your Yotzei, you're davening with the listening to Shema, the Chazaras Hashatz, that if his level of concentration during prayer did not reach the minimal standard, like we saw the basic Pirush HaMilos, then you'll be Yotzei through Shema Koleinu. So says the Kitzur in Sif Aleph, when the Chazan steps back from his own silent Shemona Esrei, he has to wait a few moments. Then he goes back 3 steps forward. Hashem's tiftach umaschel bekol baruch atah Hashem. Now, note 6 points out from the Mishnah Berurah that when there is a Rav, the minhag is to wait for the Rav. If there's no Rav, then he should begin when only once he has said Shemona Esrei and the right amount of time, and then everyone will be ready for Chazaras Hashatz. Everyone should be quiet and listen carefully. And you say Baruch Hu V'Rach Shemai and Amen. Al kol bracha karai, on each bracha appropriately. Vafil lilmoid as, you're not even allowed to learn Torah during Chazaras Hashatz. Of course, you cannot talk. As we just pointed out, of course, you cannot talk. Umi and whom someone who could stand easily. That is what he should do. Or at least close his eyes, or follow along with the chazin. We're seeing over here that Chazaras Hashatz is not a time to do anything aside for listen. Some have the minig shachar Kedushah chazin tefillin shel Rashi menicha tefillin Rabbeinu Tam va'oisin shaloi kedin. Says the Kitzur, this is inappropriate. Why? Because you should not be doing anything during Chazaras Hashatz ayin pri megadim. We continue with Sif Beis Chazaras Hashatz Sibur. When the Chazan begins, Kiva Shel Sibur is requires Valbuf Neatzer B'Lachash. And he's saying it again for everyone else. Says the Kitzur, you have to make sure that there's 9 people listening and responding. And therefore, there's exactly 10 people, 9 plus the Chazan. You have to be careful. That the Sheikh Sibur does not begin his tefillah until when? Actually, kulan tefillah son until everyone else finishes. You have to have 9 people responding. We continue with Sif Gimel Sheikh Sibur Zarch Lizar. Shehu Misayim Bracha Achas, when he finishes the bracha. Shaloi la'aschal bracha shniya. Until when? Ad la'achar shemeroi v'atzibur amen. Gotta wait for the people to say amen. Now, if there's one guy who's giving that long, crazy amen, you don't wait for him, but you have to wait for the roiv of the tzibur. V'mischal take a bracha acheres. If he starts right away, kigoin shesiyah magen Avraham mischal miyarata gibor azai kiv shesachal amerata gibor shavein amer amen. You can't say amen anymore. Va'inish bittul amen hu alav. And if the people say amen, you get punished for saying amen, not to do a bracha. So you have this constant battle over here that the Sheikh Sibur has to be cognizant of the people, and the people have to be cognizant of the Shliach Sibur. Continue Sif Dalad be Kedushah Zarkul Echel Lechavin Ragel Avim Shebit Tefit together Shestein Biyachid Keilu Haya Ragel Achas Koch Kaz Raglini Ragel Ishara Shayim Kadesh 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 Chein Baruch V'Yimloich Kadesh, 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 and Baruch, and Yimloich. Meirim Gufay V'Akav Lamal. You lift your body and your heels above, and Ogalisa Aneinu Lamarav. You look up. Toiv Shetien Seguras, and anytime you look up, your eyes should be closed in order to increase concentration. So it's not just by Kadesh, it's as well by Baruch and by Yimloich. We continue with Sefek Shemigir Sheikh Sibur Modim. Mishtach Vin Kol HaKol. Everyone should be Avayim Modim Derabanan, and everyone recites Modim. What do we see? We see incredible detail. And when it comes to thanking Modim, no one can thank for you. Kulam Mishtach reciting the whole passage while bowing. And of course, over here it points out that those that have the minhag that by Modim Anach Loch Shatahu Hashem is when you pick up your head. If you're in the middle of your own Shvanas, you should bow. What do you mean? What am I bowing? I'm in the middle of my own Shvanas. Yes, because you don't want to look like you're not doing what the tzibur is doing. Then why? It's also to add on bowing, and if you're going to do it at the beginning and end of the bracha, you're adding on bowing. So if you're in the middle of a bracha, you should bow, but if you are at the beginning and the end, then you cannot. And we continue with Sif Vav, as it points out over here. This is Birchas Kahanim in Eretz Yisrael. Some Sfardim still say Birchas Kahanim daily. If not, we say the Tefillah of Akeinu V'Kev Seinu. Koidim Shemer Sim Shalom, says the kids. Omer Akeinu V'Kev Seinu Barachenu Barach V'Chulu. Shomer Yishmerecha Omer Akal Yiler Ratzayin V'Loi Omer Amein Kein Yehi Ratzayin Kein Shemer Yivichuneka and V'Shalom. There are those who have this minhag, and of course, Amin is only going to be to the actual bracha of the Kayanim. Over here, the Chazan is saying a tefillah, and therefore you say v'chein yihul ratzayin lemaisa. Some still have the minhag to say amen. Ve'ein omer ma'aser rak b'shachar b'mosaf v'loi b'mincha rak. Which mincha do you say it? V'tainis hibur shem gam mincha sim shalim. Azem sheikh sim gam l'kin v'kev seinu ve'ein omer ma'aser be'vis avav v'loi b'tisha b'av shachris. And finally, we conclude with Sif Zayin lachash gomer sheikh sibur atefillah. Yomer b'lachash stay quietly yihul ratzayin. Aval, we already seen this. L'psaya shalosh psiyos einoi tzarich. The Chazan does not have to take 3 steps back after Chazaras Hashatz. Why? Because he's going to end up taking 3 steps back during the next Kaddish. And in note 27, they point out all the tefillahs are part of the Shemona Esrei, therefore it's not a hefsek. Lamashal, for example, he goes to Tachlan, he can just go and sit right down, and then he'll eventually take the 3 steps back. So again, when your own Shemona Esrei, you take 3 steps back. V'chazin before Chazaras Hashatz, 3 steps back. After Chazaras Hashatz, then he does not have to. We'll pick it up from Sif Ches, B'siyata Dishmaya.